Hi.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Welcome.
Oh, fuck. My squeaky chair.
He's got
let me get my
the
other
squeaky chair.
Hold on. Just keep it
He's got the squeaky chair. He's switching out the squeaky chair for the less squeaky chair. Hey.
I have no idea what you're saying.
That was just a little something else just for me in the audience.
Okay,
And
you said that
know.
last time.
Because
knowing full well that I'm going to, not only if I wasn't editing the podcast, I am going to listen to it at least once.
well then at that point you're a listener and it can be for you. But before that,
okay.
It's
Very
just
cheeky.
for me. And the
just your little
audience.
I think I did hear a slight audio bleed through of, was it a song about squeaky chair?
It was about
Okay, about my squeaky chair.
Nice.
It's been a minute.
It has, for us, not for anyone else.
Yeah, for us, not for anybody else. We took like a slight break in order to let the podcast catch up with our recordings. Because we had recorded like 5 episodes before we posted our first episode, because everybody gave us the advice that we needed to have at least 3 episodes worth of content. I thought that was like an actual upload rule.
Damn dirty lie.
I think it was just people saying like, you don't want to waste your time. Make sure you can fill 3 episodes of time. And I was like, we could talk about nothing for 2 years straight without breaks.
Years. Correct.
No food, no water, no bathroom breaks, just you and me, filthy and naked in the desert, babbling to each other.
That sounds like a dream.
Doesn't it though?
You and me, filthy and naked. Talking shit.
Just sitting in a mud puddle, splashing around, making weird noises and voices at each other, and occasionally we do like a haiku or 2.
We sound like, pigs in this scenario. Just like comedy pigs. That's us.
That's either the name of the episode or renaming the podcast to Comedy
your
Pigs.
friendly neighborhood comedy pigs.
Well, hi.
Hello.
My name is...
to be here.
Oh, well, okay.
You don't have a name. I also don't have a name.
My name is Glad to be here.
My name is also... Me too. My brain is a puddle of soup. I don't know, for no reason. I've done nothing today, and my brain is not working.
Yeah, but if you
Cory said, "Are you ready?" And I said, "Yep." And then he was like, "And recording," and I said, "Nope, don't have my phone. It's across the room."
She wasn't ready for a single thing. She just had the energy and the mindset to be ready for nothing.
Which is honestly very me. It's like I'm ready to like show up and do the thing, but I feel like sometimes I need like an entourage to actually prepare me for whatever the thing needs.
Like an assistant?
But one that I don't pay.
Anyway, hi. If we don't actually do an introduction, I'm going to aneurize.
Aneurize? What is that?
Of like an aneurysm.
Is that the process of having an aneurysm?
Yeah. But in your eyes.
I like it.
It's not true.
What?
That's Natalie.
I'm Natalie.
And that's Natalie. And this is...
And that's Cory.
And this is Natalie and Natalie. Where we Natalie now.
This time I did it. You usually do it.
You finally got one. But you did it full well knowing what you were doing.
Payback,
and
baby.
I do it as a constant accident.
That's Cory. And I'm
Cory.
Natalie.
Yep.
And what are we?
We're 2 things that both start with P's. We are philatolate.
That's still not a word.
Is it not a word? We talked about this before.
You said that episodes ago.
Yeah,
and I was like, did you just say flatulate?
No, I swear it's a word.
I don't think it is.
Anyway.
But I still love you.
Moving on from my embarrassment, we're pathetic and poetic because we're both of those things.
Yep. Depending on the day, the minute, the hour, the position of Mars in line with the sun.
And she really impacts us a lot.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And welcome to it.
Welcome. Where we talk about ourselves, and then we talk about poetry, and then we talk about ourselves about our poetry. gets very meta sometimes. Sometimes we talk about words. Sometimes we talk about where words come from. We've never really talked about Wordsworth thus far, although I think he'll probably come up in a later episode.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, odds are.
Yeah, we'll see.
This is going for all eternity, so theoretically, we will have to hit on Wordsworth at some point.
I was going to ask you how your week is going, but considering that we talked last night at 1 a.m. about...
You know how it's going.
I know exactly how your week is going.
Which, your 1 a.m. was my 2 a.m.
That's right. Well, I had to bully you to get into bed.
Yeah, he did. That's correct. He was like, get up, wash your face, while I look up this fact that we're talking about. And I was like, correct, sir. I do still have mascara on.
And part of that is you've been writing a manuscript to get published.
Yes, and you have as well.
I have as well.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Welcome to Manuscript Comedy Pig Party.
Why don't you give us all that one more time?
It's the Manuscript Comedy Pig Party.
So that one was a little more confident.
Population, you.
Me? You.
The listener.
The listener. The listeners. So I just learned the term Sunday Scaries, but do you also get like the personal project Sunday Scaries of like you didn't do anything, like it's not work related. It's not work. Oh.
Bro, I have a poem where I call myself a walking Sunday Scary. That's my whole aesthetic.
But like, do you...
It's what I built my whole life on. I am Scary Sunday. Yes, I've heard of Sunday.
No. It was my question wasn't. I know that you know what a Sunday Scary is. I just learned what a Sunday Scary is. But my question for you was, does your Sunday Scary manifest in anxiety, or does your Sunday Scary manifest similar to how mine does, where you just often end up doing the bulk of your work like late at night because you've now run out of time, and so that's why you're then up until like 1 or 2 in the morning?
Depends on the day.
Mm-hmm.
Last night, it was just me simmering in my own anxiety,
Ooh.
looking at my room, which was an absolute chaotic mess, and being like, I should really clean up my room. And then continuing to watch Riverdale, which I have already watched.
And working on your manuscript.
Yes.
So the procrastination worked for you there.
It did, but except that when I say working on my manuscript, what I was doing was like just scrolling through what I have so far with abject dread and horror, and not editing or fixing anything, just being like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
29 poems plus one poem is 30 poems.
So, to answer your question, that's where I'm at with my manuscript. Okay. How's yours going?
It's going all right. I say that not actually knowing how it's going. There's
no way to tell.
There's no way to tell. I don't have a ton of poems that I like. And I sort of touched on this yesterday as I was like sort of going through my stuff, but I worry that a lot of my poetry is better off heard than read. Because I know the intonation, I know how I want it to be spoken, and obviously you read other people's work, I feel like, in your own voice, in your own head, whether you're making up a voice for the poet or whether you're reading it like in your own voice. And so for me, I then worry that the bulk of what makes some of my work good is how I present it, not what it is. So I probably got 8 or 9 submittable poems that I think are good and submittable. I mean, I read that one in Circle the other day, which everybody seemed to love, the one about my friend from high school. And that was great. But is that something publishable? And is that something that carries through well in a written book format?
I think the thing about... Can we say what we're submitting this for? I guess. I
mean, we could just say in general, there's like a couple of publications that are doing.
Yeah.
What I learned last night, Natalie knows this obviously, but the rest of you don't, is that I thought what we were submitting to was like everybody's going to submit a couple of poems, and then the book is going to get like a collective of poems based around a theme or something, and they're going to publish those. And it's a chapbook, so it's almost like they're just featuring a writer and just highlighting them, and you get an entire book about your own work and about your own poetry.
So it feels very daunting, but also I'm trying to remind myself that we have literally nothing to lose by submitting.
I know, but I don't feel that way. It's like when you apply for a new job, or it's like when you go on a first date with somebody and then you're immediately kind of assuming the sale, and you're kind of like planning out in your head. You're like the minute you hit submit, you're like, oh, well, I got it. Like the book's mine.
I think I have like such a different outlook on it because I'm an actor.
Oh, okay.
And I am so used to either crickets on the horizon, where just like you send in video submissions and it's like it never happened. Nobody opens your email, nobody watches your video, and it doesn't matter that you spent 6 hours doing it perfect. They're not even gonna open it. Not one time are they going to watch that shit. So it's like I'm so used to that, or no's, or I think you're okay. Like, that I'm might as well, like, chuck some shit at the wall and see what sticks. So,
does that I feel like that happens for you on a consistent calendrical basis.
To, like, a daily basis.
Yeah.
I am so used to that. I mean, like...
And that only happens for me, like, once a year, if that.
Oh my
or like,
God.
Or like, because I've never really submitted to anything before. Not properly. I mean, I think there were a couple of design awards a few years ago, but they only come up every 2 years. And so I've submitted to those, and I'm trying to submit to stuff through work. But at that point in time, it's like the company lost. I didn't lose, you know.
That's fair.
I'm not the loser. It's everybody else.
Yeah. Well, then, do you think it would help at all to submit under a pen name?
No. I mean, it's not as if that I think there's going to be a blaring billboard that says Cory Sutter, the idiot of Pathetic and Poetic, the pathetic one, didn't get it.
No.
I don't have those fears. It's not like I think that there's a secret panel like sitting, you know, far away, that they're like, and another failure we add on to his tally book. This counts 17 failures since the day he turned 18. And eventually he'll finally crack like an egg and we'll write poetry about his demise. Like, I don't think, my logic brain doesn't think that that's what happens. But of course, like
But that's what I'm saying. Do you think that a pen name would help you like separate it from yourself a little bit more? Because they encourage a nom de plume. Or not encourage, but like fully accept.
I would only want a pen name if I were publishing something that like I didn't want my personal name attached to. Like if it was something that was exceptionally personal, or if it was something that like I knew I couldn't tie to another person. You know, like if the fact that my name was attached to it told more about the poem than the poem did, if that makes any sense. Like, I mean, we write a lot of stuff about other people because I mean, a lot of the stuff that you have to a lot of the stuff that you have to process is stuff that happens to you, usually with another person very closely in tow. And so it would be like if I knew that even if I didn't include a name in a poem, and even if I left it very vague, the fact that my name is on it, everybody would know who the poem was about. That's the only time that I think I would want to use a fake name, or unless I was establishing a solid profile under a fake name. But I'm totally fine talking about trauma, talking about mainly trauma, mental health experiences.
You're like, that's the end of my list.
And that's all I have. It's the only thing I'm embarrassed about.
Other trauma.
Jamie Lee Curtis's intergenerational trauma.
I do feel like they have a wide array of like work from spoken word people. Mm-hmm. So also, again, I encourage you to join me on the dark side of Rejection Mountain, where every day is a new no. And you just keep on trudging.
Oh, no. That is like...
I know, it sounds so bad, but honestly, with acting, it's always going to be more no's than yeses.
That's like the phrase on the therapy beat-up pillow.
I'm dead. But it's like, I'm so fine with it. Like, I got a rejection letter from one of the places I submitted to.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I got my first rejection letter for, like, my writing. I was like, I was just proud of myself that I sent them something. You know what I mean? I've had these notebooks just like, I just threw a pen at myself. I've had these notebooks sitting in my desk for God knows how many years. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I had the balls to send them what has been sitting in my desk drawer forever.
I guess that's fair.
I was like, proud of myself for that.
Yeah. I have a very odd, like relationship with what should be innately success and what shouldn't be. I don't want to like go into any childhood stuff or whatever, but I imagine like it, and maybe we talked about this before, but being one of those kids that's like labeled as gifted, you kind of imagine you'll always be gifted. And then the moments that you're not, you're like, what the fuck is wrong with them? Like, what were they doing that I was not chosen? The next one comes up and they're like, that's weird. A pattern of 2. Strange. What another anomaly kind of popped out of nowhere.
Hold on. Why am I not winning? Like, always.
Eventually the nerds will inherit the earth. That's what they always told me. So
that's what they told me.
Just waiting for that time to come.
Waiting. Hands out.
I'm here for you.
The wind.
I wear glasses and I like Marvel movies. When will the earth be mine? Anyway, I was reading through my poems yesterday as your mouth is fully agape.
Ended me. I'm done now. Goodbye. This is my resignation from life.
Bye. Hi, I'm Cory, and this is Pathetic and Poetic. More emphasis on the poetic side, because I think Natalie was really lifting up the pathetic side of our podcast.
Hell yeah, I was.
Oh, she's back.
You were talking about...
I was reading through my poems yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah. All 8 of them. And I was trying...
You have more than 8 poems.
I have 8 that I like.
Okay.
I have 8 that I like that I think are good. And also ones that I think would fit a theme. And like that's the other thing is trying to put, because the stuff that we do on the podcast is, I wouldn't say fairly random, but it is like, it's not focused through any particular lens or whatever. I mean, we're just writing things as they like come up or whatever.
Focus? Never heard of it.
Never mind.
Who is she? Never met her.
It's a blurry podcast. And with like the circle that we do, it's often the same thing. And I kind of don't write a ton outside of circle and outside of Pathetic and Poetic. I do occasionally, but they are like, I don't write a ton of like shorter pieces when it's not kind of given a topic, because then of course me being me, I can never keep something just small. I will then continue to like add to it and add to it and add to it and add to it. And that's hoarding for you.
I mean, that's fine though. They said it could be one long poem.
Well, yes, but what I was doing is
130-page poem.
That's a story. That's not a poem, babe.
Would be nuts.
That's a novel.
That would be an epic. So you were looking up a poem.
So I was looking at all of my poems, because for a manuscript, you kind of needed to have a central theme. And I was trying to come up with a theme, and I really don't have one. But I was thinking of maybe going to the theme of just humor in general as like a processing technique. But I don't know if that fits a poem. Or I don't know if that fits a manuscript. It definitely doesn't fit a poem. I don't know.
I'm struggling to find my theme as well. And I think,
my radiator's still going
I don't think it has to be anything specific as long as they all somewhat relate together.
Yeah.
Which I think you could make an argument that nothing is at all related, and at the same time everything is, and therefore there are no rules. And
say more. Keep going.
I'm trying, and my brain left my body.
We're doing this at noon so that way we would be awake enough to do it.
I don't know what's wrong with me. I think that you could kind of make an argument that everything is connected, and you could technically bring it all together even if you cover a wide array of topics, which I feel like I'm getting towards. I feel like the theme that's kind of emerging for me is this idea of my life, and I've always been pretty nomadic. And when it comes to theater, I've been in like a bunch of different cities for very short periods of time. And then I pick up and move because the poetry I tend to write is just like me processing what's happening in my life or making observations on what's happening in my life or how I'm currently feeling. So kind of make it this theme of like my life as a very nomadic person and like what I see before I leave, but then like also talk about the leaving. So I'm trying to find a way to structure something around that. And it's hard, but I think it's getting there. So in the interest of coming back to our gifted child roots and fucking winning for once, no. Do you want to do something that might aid our manuscripts? And would you like to write a poem that kind of fits within our topics?
I had no idea where you were going with that, but yeah, actually, that'd be a very good idea. But then what, am I just writing a poem about how funny I am and you're writing a poem about how lost you feel?
Oh boy. I mean, am I ever not writing a poem about how lost I feel?
And am I never not using humor to process some type of like deep-seated, hidden trauma and worry for the world? Yeah. Everybody uncomfortably laugh with us on 3, 2.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to do a countdown, and you, and the fact that you went ahead of me really, really sings. Really sings.
Oh my god.
And there's the uncomfortability.
That doesn't describe me as a person. I don't know what does.
Oh wait. Did I send you? This is such a change of topic. But did I send you? So I've recently gotten on Hinge. I've never been on it before. I thought that
it's terrible, right?
Yeah. Well, I thought Tinder was the way to go, and I'm not sure. And this will be like a really, really fun reference if this guy and I ever end up going on a date or end up getting married, who knows? Or it'll just be like a blink and you miss it type of detail, but I thought it was very funny. And so he had a very cute curly haired dog, and I've always wanted a dog that looks somewhat like myself. And so I responded to his photo and I said, I had mentioned something about his cute dog, and he's like, thank you, it's my best friend, blah, blah, blah. And I said, you are also very cute too, but I go weak at the knees for a curly-haired dog. And he said, well, what a coincidence, because I go weak at the knees for curly hair and an amazing beard. And then I followed up with, I haven't had a beard since high school. And then immediately said, oh, a beard. And then said, if that interaction doesn't describe what you're in for, bud, I don't know what else will.
I haven't had a beard since high school.
It felt very, very like, I haven't been fucked like that since grade school.
Whoa.
I made a reference to your favorite movie.
Wait.
That's from Fight Club.
Oh! I missed the first part of it.
What? I haven't been fucked like that since grade school?
I just heard...
Since grade school. All you heard was the word grade school. And you laughed anyway. You're such a sheep. You're just used to the rhythms of jokes and laughter. You weren't even paying attention. You didn't even think I'm funny. Like... You just laugh no matter what I say.
I heard like that since grade school because your audio cut out at the beginning. And it was one of those things where I was like, I can ask him to repeat it, but I know that was the punchline, so it ruined the timing. Or I can just roll with it. Oh my god.
You've fractured my confidence.
I am ashamed of myself.
I've never been more suspicious of another person than I am right now.
Oh, I have no words to even defend myself.
You're in a 5-minute pathetic and poetic penalty right now. No poems for 5.
During our writing time, I can't start for the first 5 minutes.
Start 5 minutes after me.
Oh my God. It's like that thing when someone says something and you're like, what? And they repeat themselves and you still don't know what they said, so you just go.
Sorry. Yeah, let's write. All right, I'm gonna pause, you pause. We'll write some funny lost poems.
Okay, and I'll wait 5 minutes and then I'll start.
Okay.
Who's pathetic this week?
That's a great question. I think considering you laughing at a joke you didn't hear earlier makes you kind of pathetic, but I will be honest, this is the first time that I've written anything for the podcast that I'm like not confident in. So I think I'm pathetic. Or should I go first?
This is the first time I think I've ever finished my poem before you.
I know. I was just
Wild.
I think it like
we both struggled with this one today.
I'm good when there is more of a particular idea. When there is kind of something that I can gravitate on and I can get a basis from. And I think the ideas that we've come up with before, they've been, I don't want to say low stakes, but this one, because we were like, ooh, let's contribute to the idea of our manuscript. Mm-hmm. It then, I think, felt like it had more pressure to it. And so then I was like, oh God. And
also, if anyone else is writing along with us, using our prompts, feel free to use either theme that we were working on or working with, or your own theme for whatever manuscript you might be writing. Yeah.
Or even don't put the pressure on yourself to write a manuscript, put the pressure on yourself or don't put any pressure on yourself, one of all, and B of all. Literally just write anything that you enjoy.
This is true.
Yeah.
And send it to us.
I mean, I started writing and you told me, you were like, oh, what's your favorite song? And I started saying Wait a Minute by Willow. And then you told me to write about the sixth dimension. And I was like, oh my God. And so then I started trying to break down like what the sixth dimension would be like almost scientifically. And then I was like, we don't like this. And then I tried writing another bit about like the last human being left alive on a floating asteroid in a 3-bedroom brownstone on the backside of Jupiter.
I feel like you should go first.
I guess
Take us on this journey.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep
You've already begun it with
already...
the line from that, but I want to hear at least one line from every poem that you've written in the last hour or so that we've been writing.
Oh, so it has only been those 3 poems. Well, I know there were 4 poems that I wrote. Technically 5 because there's a bit of a 5th poem on the top of the page. Okay, so we're gonna do that.
Okay, and then so the poem that you're maybe not feeling the most confident in.
Yes.
You don't have to read the whole thing if you don't want to.
I think I'm going to. Okay. So
just take us on the journey.
Yeah, Natalie and I were talking earlier while we were writing that we were like, a lot of our poetry is very self-referential. We use a lot of I lines and a lot of I statements, and we just we draw from our own experiences. And I was thinking that maybe we should like shake things up by maybe not using I statements, but I immediately kind of couldn't do that. Even though I sort of did, but halfway through I use an I statement. Anyway, I'm spoilers of my own poetry. I ended up writing this thing from college that I would do as kind of a stress relief. I'll explain it after I read it, but did you say you wanted to hear one sentence from every one of the poems that I wrote?
Yes. I want everyone to come on the journey with you of like what the last hour and some change has been like for you trying to write for this prompt.
Okay. Well,
okay.
So the first poem I wrote, we have: there's length and height and depth and time and what? When depth has long laid flat to see time in perspective, and time extrudes out, towering in every direction, what's next? And that's kind of as far as I got with that.
How dare you mess with my mind?
I was thinking of the movie Interstellar.
Day of our Lord, Monday.
And then the building one, I sort of already read an excerpt from that, but we have: years from now, when the earth expels its last breath and the crust fractures with no cosmic gauze or splints to fix her hobbled form, a 3-floor townhouse spins on the only asteroid to contain life. Blown away by comet or bomb, this Victorian brownstone floats in and out of orbit among Saturn's moons. The gutters and tiles were stripped by force, but for some reason, the mortar clutches together and shelters the last person on Earth. And then I just read I had already read the other line of survived only on stores of cat food and tuna cans and whatever. So,
did you say what was the gauze line?
And the crust fissures with no cosmic gauze or splints to fix her hobbled form.
Cosmic gauze? Get all the way out. What?
Okay, maybe that was, I don't know. I did like that, like cosmic gauze as a phrase. So maybe I'll turn that into a poem later or something. And so then the other one I was going to write was about how I see faces and everything. And so the only two lines that I wrote were, the electrical outlet is always surprised that it isn't in use, as the rusted bathroom door cackles when I finally try to close it. And that was just like the way
personify your whole house, please.
I mean, that's kind of what I do in general, is I put a lot of weird personifications and personalities on living things. And I do that a lot. And so I was and that was also because I went to the bathroom at that time, and the bathroom door, whenever you try to close it, it's sort of like hyenas laughs itself back up and it goes, and it's just like,
that's so funny.
And I was looking at a wall outlet and I was like, oh, she looks so surprised because she was like, ooh. But you wouldn't see that if it was plugged in. So she's only surprised that she's not in use because you can only see her surprised when nothing's plugged in.
Of course. Yeah. So, oh my God, I love that.
So now that
could be something so cool.
So now that I've read 17 different poems,
yes.
Let me actually read the thing that I wrote. It does rhyme. So if you don't like rhyming poems, shut up. This is my podcast, not yours.
Buckle up.
Okay. Past the broken brick road behind the river downtown lies a boardwalk that leads to a muddy pass. Through an inch of murk, sometimes frozen, sometimes flowing, welcomes the first of 7 thrifted stairs. Claimed from a rock too stubborn to move, 3 boards hammered into the mud, 2 thick roots no wider than a big boot heel, and a slab of asphalt just because. A few steps past the pavement, shrouded in shaking, is a painted and flaked sloped underpass. With new shoe-like traction and a sprinting start, she'll let you climb to the back. There, just under the highway, hidden from view, perpendicular to the train tracks. If you listen real close as the conductor blows by, you'll hear a faint scream that's been masked. Covered up by the traffic, the whistle, the water, a great yell floats beneath. For it's me, you see, you silly explorer. I'm the underpass beast. When frustration or anger or rotten elation starts seeping out of my skin, what does that say? I don't know what it says.
I love when we can't read our own.
Oh, okay. I'll go back one line. When frustration or anger or rotten elation starts seeping out of my skin, I have nothing that I can do with it but pen it all in. Tamp it down in a nice, neat, safe shape. I could let the aggression subside until it comes frothing out of the sides of my mouth. On that, I could no longer abide. A walk, yes, a walk, a smack of Ohio's finest airs, and one 2 a.m. scuttle. I happened to stumble upon it and look. It was there. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't rhyme. Let me read that again. Fuck. A walk, yes, a walk, a smack of Ohio's finest airs, and one 2 a.m. scuttle. I happened to stumble and look. It was there. Does that make sense? I'm writing airs with theirs.
Yeah.
We continue. On the other page, at a 90-degree angle. Ironically, the first line is, at an angle, say 45 degrees, covered in tags and graffiti, up about 30 feet was a ledge almost perfectly hidden from scene. For 4 nights in a row, I'd climb the incline and wrap myself in the darkness, until 3:36, as I drifted off, I was awoken by an alarm. It's the train. The train, 40 cars at least, blaring hard on its horn. So the creatures and drunkards all stumbling home would be fairly forewarned. Without a thought, I smiled and screamed, used volume and pitch to match it. As my woes echoed out, I realized without doubt, I think I finally have it. Pain is an odd, funny happening. I'd never want anyone to know how hard I was hurting and lost in my own wood. Any second, I'm ready to blow. No destruction, no self-harm, these things all leave traces, but screaming, I think, covers my bases. So night after night, like clockwork, I'd pilgrim down to the river. With my head angled back and my chest full of air, my loud howl I'd deliver. So if you find yourself down in my college town, you hear the faint growl of grief. Don't be scared, don't turn back, just keep on your journey. It's just me, the underpass beast.
Oh, that was so good.
It's a little precious.
Here's the thing, I think, because we've been talking about both of us in our discussion before we started recording again. So this is like behind the scenes secrets.
7 hours ago.
No, but it's like we were both saying, oh, I think this is cheesy. I think this is a little cheesy about both of our poems.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like you've taken something which is serious and was a hard time in your life and was like a time when you kind of, this was your only release and relief from all of these like difficult feelings you were dealing with. So that's like a hard thing to talk about. And you've put it in kind of this like, this jaunty and playful rhyming couplet that makes it a little lighter.
I am jaunty.
You are the jauntiest,
I am
my
jaunty.
friend. No, but it's like,
yeah.
you were talking about like trying to fit it under this umbrella theme you have of like comedy. And it's like, I feel like with this one, rather than like the text itself being funny or making like poking fun or making jokes, anything like that, it's like you did it with the form instead, which is cool. That's like a cool new take on it.
But then does that go back to, though, what I was talking about earlier of, is it funny because of the way that I read it and because of how I delivered it versus, like, if you actually saw that poem, you'd be like, well, who the fuck cares? You're like, all right, so he was sad and he yelled at a train. All right, cool.
No, but I think because it all rhymes and because the structure of it and the form of it is that jaunty, like, is it in couplets?
Kind of. I don't know.
I know nothing about poetry.
I don't either. I don't know why we're actually doing a poetry podcast because I don't remember a thing about English. And that
I learned that ABC Dairy and like all these different forms of poetry, I learned them literally as we went in the circle.
Yeah.
I know nothing. So good thing we have a poetry podcast.
Well, because the thing that I do really like is slam poetry, which like has a rhythmic meter to it, but it's not meant to have a form. It's like jazz. Like it is meant to kind of like create itself as it's creating itself or whatever. And that's the type of poetry that I like, where it's got like witty moments and like a larger story, but it doesn't like conform to any particular form. As I say that, as I like wrote literally a rhyming poem where half the lines didn't rhyme.
No, but I think putting it into that structure was where the comedy came in. Like, I think even reading that on a page, you hear it in your head, or I actually recently learned that some people don't hear it in
I
their
heard that
head
too.
when they read, which is wild to me.
We've talked about this. Did we talk about this on here?
Yes.
We did talk about this on here. Okay.
Yes.
See previous episode something.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe. But like, yeah, the internal monologue that you like actually hear yourself talking to yourself, or when you're reading and you can actually hear it. So it's like, I think people, I know that we just talked about that being something that you were worried about, them reading it as you would have it read. I feel like this one, because it has that structure to it and it's fitting that form, I would think they would read it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess it does somewhat fit the theme of me processing kind of, trauma through humor and that kind of as my avenue to, kind of not see the brighter side of things, but kind of turning what I'm feeling on its head and kind of, trying to, I suppose, bring some type of levity to it. But
hey, I mean, I feel like this had and I hope this is meant as a compliment, and I hope it comes across as a compliment, because it had a Shel Silverstein-esque feel to it.
I'll
where
take
it was, like,
that.
playful.
Yeah, I'll take that.
But it was talking about serious subject matter. His books are being pulled and banned from schools right now because
Really?
they deal with topics of anxiety and depression in, like, Where the Sidewalk Ends.
Yeah.
Like, that's being banned from schools now.
Jesus.
I know.
It's not the one I pray to, but...
Honestly, life goal to write a book that is banned from schools.
Yeah. I'm going to start with just writing the book, and then I think the band part...
This is true.
The band part will probably come. Like, it'll be like an unfortunate detail that'll just... Or fortunate. You're poetic this week.
I think this is the first week.
Yay! Yay! If I really liked sound effects, I'd put in a woo sounds right here.
Woo.
Maybe I'll just add in all of your woos.
It was close though, because
it was not.
It was close. I was almost pathetic because I laughed at something because I didn't.
True.
So, let's not forget the shame that is thrust upon me, even as I read this.
Well, Miss Shame, tell us about your writing.
If I were to have a stage name, please welcome to the stage, Miss Shame. Okay. I feel like it got very cheeky at the end.
Cheeky.
Maybe. I don't know.
As cheeky as mine?
I don't know anything anymore.
Did you refer to yourself as the underpass beast? How cheeky could it be?
I did not.
Okay,
but
right.
I always feel like a little bit... Like, I know I keep calling them out on literally every episode of this podcast. But...
Button poetry?
I feel like... No, I feel like Andrea Gibson.
Oh, yeah.
The only one who can pull off the repeating ending line twice thing. And sometimes I try to do it and I'm like, do you just sound like a dang dirty fool trying to do this? Dang dirty fool.
You're just a dang dirty fool.
I don't know why I just turned into Doug Dimmadome of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. But
I'm Doug Dimmadome. Or are they Dimsdale
of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. I would like to make a very light, but body horror light TM. Ooh. Content warning. What else did I want to say about this?
I don't know.
Was that it? Okay.
I guess.
Again, I don't have a title because I struggle. So feel free to write in with title suggestions as always. Okay.
We should do like a weekly title contest for you.
We should. Even though I just got nervous about it. I feel like I wanted to say something about it. Oh, okay. Yes. It's not self-referential, but I feel like I cheated because I start saying you. And I feel like if there's a you, it implies there's a me. And so there's still a me in this poem, you know?
Cheater.
Yeah, basically.
She's a cheater.
I am.
She cheated on her assignment that didn't have any rules except it had rules
Correct.
on it.
Sure did.
Anyway, you go.
It's not about the buildings, the brick or the mortar or the cement or why they all end up so porous in the end. It may crush knuckles to dust now, but give it time. Someday, even the pyramids will fall. Someday, it'll all be back to dust too, even this page, this pen. It's not about the car. The change in the cup holders, the forgotten glove box treasures. Metal can always twist. Rubber can always melt. There will still be a ways to run to, even when there are no more wheels left in the whole world. It could have been about the trees. I hear the scientists are pretty sure they are talking to themselves through their roots, writing intimacy in ivy, flowering and families. Yeah, it might have been about the trees. But the world these days is dangerous, and bark has never made much of a shield. Storms roll in with no warning, and everyone knows that wood warps. It certainly wasn't ever about the coffee cups or the colors, wasn't about lipstick or pocket knives or candles or Polaroids that print out in unrequited darkness. If it is anything at all, it's the song. The one that plays whether you want it to or not, the one that pricks lips right before they turn into smiles and hides in the back of the top right drawer. It's the one you push your curtains open to play louder, the song that shakes between all the blades of grass you haven't lain on and rattles its refrain under the paper cover on a hardback book, the one that is the jangle of coming home again and burning dinner and your hair and candles and anything else you can get your hands on. It's putting out the fires too. The smolder of that is also part of the song, and the putter of planes in the sky, the opening of library doors and putting on a jacket, stepping into the shower, walking to the window, answering the text, cracking the can, taking the first sip, taking the last sip, still being thirsty, reading the book, finishing the conversation, knowing the conversation is finished, knowing silence is an answer too, knowing you are bigger than silence, knowing you are brighter than silence, knowing you are bright, knowing when you don't know, and that is okay, laughing in spite of, laughing in love, loving in spite, loving because you just do, being the sun when the sky is too damn dark. The first real hug in such a long time. The song goes on. The song goes on.
What was that? Come again now?
Come again?
Excuse me, can you say that a little louder? I'm kind of hard of hearing.
I lost my connection. It says it's trying to reconnect.
Of course you did. Of course you
Can
did.
you hear me?
Of course I can. Yep.
Of course I can.
Of course I can. Yeah, your computer was like, I'm out.
I broke my computer.
I'm done. I'm done.
That's enough.
That was wild.
Thank you.
Okay, you had so many, like, very tasty word combos, like in the earlier part of the poem. I think maybe one of them had the word crisp in it.
Crisp.
Vladislas Kristik. Chris Kringle fish sticks.
What? I don't know.
So maybe it didn't have the word crisp in it. Maybe I totally lied. But there were you had like multiple like sort of little word couplets that like rhymed with each other, and it was like very nice, very good. Or it was very like alliterative. And then that run was so good.
Thank you. I just had a weird burp.
Oh, I thought you were crying. I was like, yeah, cry,
weep, baby.
Show me the emotion.
Yeah, the run at the end it did just kind of keep growing. And I was like, is this too much? I tend to just like list things a lot.
Yeah.
But
list is a poem.
If it works.
Yeah. Yeah. That was like some of the best stuff I think I've ever heard from you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think it was maybe because you weren't reading it at midnight.
Maybe that was it.
What was that?
Maybe I'm like way less annoying before midnight.
I wouldn't say that.
You said, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Let's not go so far.
Couldn't go that far. I'm done.
No, but that was so good. Okay, wait. Reread the last two lines. You said you were afraid that only,
the song goes on. The song goes on.
See, I like it because it, like the first one, in the way I feel like that you read it, it was part of the list. And you do need a repetition to force the fact that it's repeating. And like it's that idea of the entire flow is going again and again and again and again. What's that? I touched my chair and I thought it was a bug or something. I don't know what it was. You ever touch something and you're like, what the fuck? And then like you're like, oh, it was me. I did.
Oh, it's me.
I did it all along. I did it. Ew. It was me. Ew. I'm disgusting.
Ew.
I'm a little gross one. I'm a little pig wallowing in the desert.
Comedy pig.
Full circle. Comedy pig.
Comedy pig out in the desert. Yeah, no, I think your logic there is deeper than my logic.
Oh.
I just needed but I love it as a reasoning. If you can do something and then someone else can create a reasoning for why you did it, perfect. Can't ask for more in life. Do you feel like it's cheating that I did use you?
No, not at all. Well, also because it's a rule that we impose on ourselves that I didn't even use. So
true.
Because I think I used
I feel like there's a different vibe when it is a self-referential poem than if it is like a universal concept that we're talking about poem.
Yeah.
I don't want too much of my manuscript to be like repetitive or too like navel gazing and inwardly focused. And
unless you made the title self-referential me.
That's the theme. The theme is it's all about me.
These are my poems. This is my book, and you need to learn your place.
I'm deceased. But yeah, did it feel? I was trying to give it like a universal feel to it.
Yeah, I think because the beginning sort of was like a march of time, and it I know that's not what you're talking about. That made me think of like the cosmic universe rather than like the linguistic universe. And I definitely think it had like a larger perspective, but it definitely was as if like you were talking to a person. But I think it had I think it's different than some of the other stuff that you've written. I thought it was very good. I thought you did a great job. I don't know. It was all of those things. It was all that and everything.
Sweet. Well then, okay, maybe she's going in the manuscripts. Yeah. What about yours? Do you think yours is going in the manuscript?
I don't know. I don't think it's the strongest thing that I have, if I'm honest. Well, what do you think?
I do think it has like a cool vibe to it where you're talking about the serious thing, but it's kind of juxtaposed with the jaunty rhyming scheme.
Jaunty over here,
I don't know.
Little jaunty over there.
I feel like it depends, because there's some poems I currently have in my draft of the manuscript that I'm like, this might get cut. Yeah. And I'd be okay with that. But I also feel like I feel as though maybe it's not my strongest work, but it is another dimension of something that I feel like its presence might actually bolster the presence of other poems there.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
A little bit.
So I feel like it could be one of those for you where it's like it adds something. Does it add what I want it to add?
Yeah.
And then you can kind of like towards the editing process, towards the end, you can kind of figure that out from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll noodle on it. It's like we both just went dead silent.
I think that silence is a sign
we should wrap up.
Done.
Yeah.
So everybody go away. And would you leave us alone?
I was gonna be a little kinder.
I'm sorry. I have work at 6:00 tomorrow morning. Is it okay with you all if I just go to sleep? There's no one there to answer.
I was gonna play back with you, but
posted this
on the tip of my tongue.
You.
No, I was gonna play with the anger, but on the tip of my tongue, I had "thank you all for listening," and it just didn't jive with the message you were sort of expectorating. So I was like, you know what? I'll let her do it, and thank you all for listening. We really appreciate it. We really do. Yeah, we love that we've had, so many people listening to our podcast, and people seem very excited about it. And by the time you're listening to this one, this will be our somewhere in our like 5th or 6th or something episode. So I don't know. Again, yes, thank you all for listening. If you want to see all the stuff we're posting on social media and just get updates on all the things, new episodes, other type of stuff. We have an Instagram. It's Poetic Pod. That's it. Subscribe to the Instagram. Listen to the podcast on Spotify. Currently, we're only on Spotify. If you like to listen to podcasts at other places, I don't know what to tell you because we're only on Spotify right now. I've been Cory. That's been Natalie. This is Pathetic and Poetic. And always remember.
You're so done. You're out of here.
Sorry.
I'm dead. He's not lying, though. I have been Natalie, and he has been Cory, and this has been Pathetic and Poetic.
It has been, and we have been.
Yeah.
And
we appreciate you for listening.
Yeah.
And we hope you listen some more.
Yeah. We're not going to force you to, but, you know, if you want to,
we're not, that's not our vibe.
Always remember.
Oh, and never, ever forget.
Don't forget it. Literally, I got a notification on my computer that says, reduce noise. Oh, shit.
Oh my god, I should have a warning label on me that says reduce